Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome, everybody. Michael LaFido. You are listening to the Luxury Specialist podcast. I'm your host of Luxury Fridays, and we're excited today. The topic is going to be multitude on not just personality, but conversion. Recently, I had a guest on one of our Zooms, and she went on a $3 million listing appointment and had a great question. How much follow-up is too much? I don't want to come across as stalking them, but I also don't want to not show that I'm interested in the opportunity. So we're actually going to have Alyssa on as our guest today. It was her question, and I said, you know what, this is a great question. We've talked about disc personality in the past. We've talked about, conversion, but we probably can't talk about it enough, especially with the upper end clientele. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Again, as always, if you're getting value from these trainings, please leave us a like, leave us a review. We can't have enough of those. I appreciate you guys. Our guests are not compensated. They're donating their time. I'm donating my time to raise the bar for the industry. So if you are getting value from that, please leave us a like, leave us a review. And again, feel free to shoot us an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com with any questions you have. And for those of you that are watching the live stream version of this, you can type in your questions for myself or our guest here. Just a couple house items. Number one, again, YouTube. YouTube has handles now, so you should secure your handle. Ours is @luxuryspecialist. So youtube.com/@luxuryspecialist. So if you have a YouTube channel, make sure about a month and a half ago, they launched handles. So make sure you claim your handle, whether it be your town, realtor, your town, your name, whatever it might be. You should claim your handle. Ours is youtube.com/@luxuryspecialist. Again, a couple other things. We are going to be, our next live in-person designation training is going to be end of March in Cabo. So if you're looking for a great write-off and a great reason to increase your average sale price, come out to Cabo. You can go to luxurydesignation.com, luxurydesignation.com. And we are launching our next book, and we are looking for people to contribute, and that's going to be called The Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. If you're interested in finding out more information, shoot me a note, shoot me an email. It's going to be specifically area exclusive, where you'd be the sole contributor for your market. And we have a free report, a lot of different things, 21 ways to leverage this book to attract more high-end buyers and sellers. So we're going to not just have you be part of the book with other great top luxury agents, but we're going to help you leverage the book to attract more opportunities. So just wanted to make sure I covered that. Again, as always, feel free to listen to other episodes, other podcast episodes. There's some really great nuggets in them. And again, if you're getting value, please leave us a like, leave us a review. Recently, before I bring on our guest, I was hired through our closer program. If you want more information on that, shoot me a note. But our closer program is a program where literally you as an agent could contact us, and we will go on a listing appointment, either in person or virtual, depending on the situation. And recently we did that. We went on a $22.9 million listing appointment down in Fort Lauderdale. You're going to see the picture on the screen right now for those that are watching the live stream. And this house is absolutely stunning. You could have literally, there was a 20-something million dollar yacht parked behind it. So gorgeous property. And we're happy to say that we helped one of the agents that brought us down She secured a exclusive listing, and we were excited to be part of that. So that's our closer program. But I'm going to tie in that experience, that listing appointment, with our guest Alyssa here in a second, because what she is going to be talking about, what she's going to be asking me, is no different. Today we're talking about conversion and follow up with high-end buyers or high-end sellers. And with that being said, I'm going to bring our special guest on today, all the way from the East Coast. Alyssa, how are you today?
I'm good, Michael. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm a little under the weather, so if you see me pause for a second to get a sip of water, that's why. But you and I met in the fall of 2020. I spoke at the Hyperfast agent for Carrie Scholl and Dan, and you were getting your license at the time. And fast forward two and a half years later, I was doing a Zoom for Carrie, and you were on it.
Yep.
And if you want to tell everybody a little bit, you've been licensed for what, 2 years now, a little over?
Yeah, so I did used to run the Hyperfast agent coaching brand that Dan and Carrie started in 2018. Ran that for a year and then got my license in the first 2 years with a business partner. In fact, was able to do 26 million in sales volume. So
Wow.
pretty proud of that number.
Yeah, you should be. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we really buckled down during the pandemic. We were in the office every single day. We never slowed down. We kept our heads down, kept working, and we had our best year in 2021. And it's just
so
been
new agent focused. Right now, it looks like you're in a sound booth.
Yep.
But my point is, you sound booth out the noise, right? I tell people all the time, garbage in, garbage, and most people say out. No, garbage in, unfortunately, garbage stays. So you tuned out the news, the doom and gloom, everything, and you just put in the work, WORK.
Yep.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
the whole office was empty. Everybody was working from home. And my business partner and I kid you not, we're here every single day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., taking appointments, following up, going out, doing showings, just doing as much as we could, given the circumstances of the shutdown and the pandemic and everything. And we had one of the best years we've ever had. So
that's awesome. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
A great way to kick off. And here we are in 2023. Again, you can see replays of not just this, but other Luxury Fridays on our YouTube channel. You go to youtube.com /@luxury specialist or our podcast. But here we are in 2023, and certain markets are still strong, shortage of inventory. Some markets are seeing a lot more price changes. Days on the market are increasing. And so WORK, right? Making sure that you're communicating with buyers, sellers, prospects is really important. So tell everybody a little bit about when we had any questions called AMA, Ask Mike Anything, during that Zoom that we did a few weeks back. What was the question you had for me?
Yes. So my business partner and I had recently gone on a $3 million listing appointment. We connected really well with the seller. We toured the home. It was a great time. However, they were getting ready to leave the country on vacation. And so we had agreed during that initial appointment that we would kind of touch base once they were back. And they ultimately didn't end up going on vacation. And so my question was, how much follow-up is too much follow-up? What kind of form of follow-up would you suggest with a listing of this price point? Because we've tried calling, we've tried texting, and it seems like we're missing each other. And I don't want to say she's slipping through the cracks, but the communication hasn't been there. So my question was really, what form of follow-up have you seen works best in the past? And with this price point, how would you go about it?
So that's a great question. So before I answer that question, I do want to pull up some slides. So I'm going to share my screen here, because a lot of this depends on who your audience is, right? Because there's not a one answer to that question. It depends. It all depends on who's your audience. So let me share that with you real quick, and let me you see on my screen, this is one of my favorite quotes from Daniel S. Kahneman. He said, people would rather do business with someone they like and they trust rather than someone they don't, even if that likable person is offering a lower quality product and service at a higher price. So I'm going to fast forward to DISC personality real quick, which I recommend you familiarize yourself with. Not just you, Alyssa, but the others that are listening out there.
We're trained on it heavily on our team.
All right, perfect. So DISC, D-I-S-C, D stands for dominant or demanding drivers. You know, Barbara Walters, who recently passed, Michael Jordan, Trump are all D's. I's are influencers, interactive. Most real estate agents are high I. S's, they're very supportive. They drive you nuts with buyers because they can't make a decision for the life of them. They're really good assistants. They're great office managers where they're good listeners. They're sensitive. They're steady. They're stable. They don't show like a lot of peaks and valleys. They're pretty calm. And then C's are really cautious, more left brain, analytical. Your Bill Gates and your Albert Einsteins of the world. And so getting back to your situation with your client, obviously we can't go back. But one of the things I always like to say is I always like leaving, whether it be a Zoom meeting, a face-to-face, with what are the next steps and a timeline. And I also like to know what's the preferred method of communication. And this is all price points, by the way, not just luxury, but this is a $3 million seller. So obviously you can't go back now. But one of the things that I think would have helped you in this scenario is, and you want to share a first name?
Of the seller?
Yeah.
Kim.
All right. So, hey, Kim, what's your preferred method of communication when we touch base with you? Do you want us to call you, text you, email you? What's easiest and what's preferred for you, Kim? So, because you're telling me you're texting, but maybe they don't like text. Or maybe they feel like that's too impersonal. Number two, maybe they want email, maybe they want phone calls. So again, communicating with them the way they want to be communicated to is the first step. The second is managing the expectations and the timeline. So, offline, you shared with me, you want to follow up with them again because they had talked about putting their property on in March, as we're approaching March at the filming of this recording. So, we're coming up on it in a few weeks here. So, you want to bring value to them. I always look at it, whether it be a buyer or a seller, is I want to bring as much value to them as possible so that if they're on the fence, are they going to hire me or somebody else, that it's no brainerish, right? So the value for a buyer, and I know this is a seller, but for those listening, the value for a buyer might be, trying to find them off-market properties, right, that have been picked over by somebody else. I call those boomerang clients. You might get boomerang clients that come back to you that maybe bought and sold with somebody else, but now they come back to you because you brought value. You didn't burn any bridges. I got a guy that I'm showing $3.9 million, $5 million properties to that he's bought and sold with another agent since listing with me 5 or 6 years ago. And he called me on something and I brought value to the conversation. And I thought to myself, this is an opportunity. He hadn't signed an exclusive buyer agent agreement. He flat out said, it's basically whoever brings me the property, I'll buy through. So I set him up on some searches. I got some grassroots marketing to find him that off-market property. My point is, bring value, so that if they're on the fence, they'll hire you. In this case, he flat out told me, hey, just so you know, moving here on out, we're going to see everything through you. So that's for a buyer. That's what keeps them awake at night. And maybe you've heard me present before, those of you that are listening, but Alyssa, I'm going to put you on the spot. Hopefully you remember this from a few weeks back, but you remember what the most listened to radio station that most buyers and sellers listen to?
Oh, I have to think about it. I remember you asked the question.
Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can find that here. The most listened to radio station that buyers and sellers listen to.
Was it?
Yeah. Whether they be on the East Coast or not, it's on the screen for those who are watching the live stream. It's WIIFM. What's in it for me? And so as a buyer, what's in it for them? You want to bring value because their time is valuable. And and you got to win them over. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? That's what they think. Well, in this case, Kim is a seller. She got a $3 million asset, a great property, and you're trying to convert the seller. And your original question to me was, how much follow-up is too much follow-up? And how should I follow up? Well, again, how should you follow up? That's all comes back to the original question that you could have asked, but you didn't, and that's okay. And you still can ask. And let me break it down. How has she responded to you up to this point? More, how has she responded more to you? Has it been via text? Has it been phone call or more email?
It's been phone call. And just to give a little bit of background, my business partner and I, we actually do frequently ask that question about the method of communication. What's your preferred method of communication? What's easiest for you? What do you prefer? I don't remember exactly what she had said or if we actually asked that to her. I know that most of the time we do ask, but from emailing, calling, and texting, she's picked up the phone a couple of times. And I think the last time I spoke to her, she said, my husband's going to call you. And, we just haven't been able to connect with him yet. So it's just kind of playing a little game of phone tag at the moment.
Sure. And so being respectful of their wishes, in other words, in this case, the ball's in the husband's court, but bringing value back to that conversation. So let's just say there was an excuse, a reason that you could reach out to them even before the husband calls you back. So a property recently sold that might be a comparable, a new listing that came on that might be competition to yours. Those are all reasons, a good excuse to bring value and reach out to them. So if we were to role play and Alyssa, you're the seller and I'm you, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? This is Mike LaFido. I know, how are you doing? First off, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. Hey, I know your husband was going to reach out. I just want to give you a call because a new home just came on the market that I think is going to help our cause. It's similar price in that $3 million price point, but doesn't offer the features that you have. So I know we're targeting March still. Just keeping you in the loop that I got my finger on the pulse and I wanted to let you know. So I'll shoot you over an email with a link so you can see this new property, flip through the photos. And no recent sales in the area yet on your price point, but this is something to keep an eye out on. So I just want to give you a call with a heads up that I'm going to shoot you over an email and a text with the link. Share it with your husband, and then have him reach out with any questions. Do you think he'll be reaching out in the next week or so?
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. I'll give him a nudge and have him give you a call in the next week.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great to talk to you, Kim, and have a great weekend.
You do the same. Thanks, Michael.
All right, thank you. So that's one example of you're bringing value, like you're not letting things slip through the cracks. You got your finger on the pulse, you got your finger on the market, and you're bringing value to that conversation. That's how it would work with the seller, and without coming across as desperate, but you're actually reaching out for something else. And then while you had them, oh, by the way, you think your husband will, be reaching out, or you can also say, would you prefer that I reach out to him? Something along those lines.
And I think the thing we were struggling with is that we were calling and then they weren't answering. So a couple weeks ago, when you were doing that training for us on Zoom, and I asked, I think you had mentioned just to stop by the house, knock on the door, check in, leave behind something with the seller just to remind them that, we're here, because we can't get her back on the phone. Right. And so that's where we were really struggling, because it's like, even if I call every week, for some reason, I'm not catching her at a good time.
Yeah, that's a good point. So one of the things on another podcast that we're going to be talking about is gifting, right? Gifting. So gifting at the listing appointment. If you're meeting with them during midday, hey, Alyssa, would you and your husband want me to pick up something from blank, whether it be a small boutique restaurant or Panera, or if you're coming by in the evening for a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, hey, do you want me to pick up some tiramisu or some cookies from my favorite bakery or something like that? Bringing value to the table. On the listing appointment. After the listing appointment, one of the things I do is I send cookie baskets with some some fresh cookies. Again, just differentiate yourself. What's a client worth to you, and what are you willing to differentiate yourself? So those are all some strategies there. So sounds like you're familiar with DISC, but for those of you that are listening, again, just a reminder: communicate with somebody the way they want to communicate with, and also, the other thing is. All conversion wise, conversion is going to be really important. I have Tori on here. Tori's a D mixed with an S. Thanks for joining us, Tori. And so D, a driver. Okay, driver. Those are good. Okay, S's are slower paced. D's are faster paced. Okay. So again, understanding personality types. So what do you think if I were to put you on the spot based on your conversation and your appointment with Kim and her husband, what do you think Kim is and what do you think her husband is?
Kim is definitely a high I, and I immediately recognized that in her because I'm also a high I. She was extremely laid back, very talkative, deterred from the actual listing to talk about her family and their travels and their plans. So she's definitely a high I. We clicked almost instantly. Her husband actually wasn't there for the appointment. He came in right at the end. If I had to guess based on the 5-minute interaction that I had with the husband, I would say he's probably an S. He was like, but he's very hands off the whole transaction. He's like this, she designed this home. This is her baby. I'm handing it over to her. The money goes to her. The check is hers. Like he was totally like, you deal with her. So if I had to guess, I'd say he's an S because he was very,
right. A D would be more in charge and a micromanager.
And he wasn't really asking very many like analytical questions. So which would make me think maybe he's a C. But he was totally like, she's got it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very like standoffish, shy, kind of like, you don't need to talk to me, talk to her. And she was clearly a high I. So
okay. So I mentioned earlier this $22.9 million property that we went on recently, and you see the pictures here. And we actually the daughter, who's I would say is probably 30 years old, she showed us the property where the owner was out of state, but he is definitely a high D. High D is his email signature on his actual email signature. I got to read it to you, but his email signature was.
I like working with high Ds.
Yeah, they can be challenging too, though, because they can if they're not successful right away, they can rub you as being a high D, and D doesn't stand for driver, but something else sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So his email signature under it, besides his name and phone number, it's accountability in caps. In bold. It's bolded. It says, doing what you said you would do, as you said you would do it, when you said you would do it, period.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a high D.
Talk about a high D. Exactly. So knowing that the high D doesn't really like all this fluff and everything, they want a plan, right? He wants a marketing plan, not fluff. So the one agent who went on this appointment with us, who's got no experience, he followed up with this guy after the appointment a little too much, according to this guy, according to the seller. And again, just being a good reader of the room. Now, this younger agent said, he's good at reading the room and understands when's too much but that's where experience comes in, right? So even though you've been licensed 2 years, you were around real estate with Carrie and Dan before. So you understand best practices. You can't just read about DISC in a book. You need interactions. You need to work with hundreds of buyers and sellers before you totally just master it. Now, for those of you that don't master it right now and haven't mastered it, don't be discouraged. But my point is, go on as many appointments as possible. Work open houses. Go with shadow other agents in your office. That's going to be really important.
Well, and if I can add too,
please,
Michael, the DISC profiles, I mean, that's the bread and butter of our business, right? Because a majority of our business, a huge part of being a real estate agent is being able to communicate effectively, and being able to retain control with your clients and help them with, making big decisions. And so if you don't know how to communicate to the different disc profile personalities, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot, because being able to know how to effectively communicate to a D and effectively communicate to a C or an S or an I, they're all very, very different. It's like black and white. And so if you're trying to talk to a D and you're coming at them, like you're talking to an I, you're just going to piss them off, and they're going to think you're wasting their time. And there you go, you lose a client. And you can use the disc profiles and the knowledge and put that into action at open houses, on appointments, in your follow-up when you're prospecting. So if you're watching this and you're a real estate agent and you don't know what disc is, I would highly, highly encourage you to study it, and study it hard, because it's really a game changer. When you recognize who you're dealing with, you already have the upper hand.
Yeah. There's an incubator program that's taught at the local high school, and I've spoken at it, guest speaker. They bring me in to talk about developing a unique value proposition, because this is a business elective class, and they have a pitch-a-thon at the end where they're pitching a product or an idea. But there's not enough of this taught. I mean, I never heard about DISC. I think it's something that should be taught in high schools. These are practical, real life scenarios.
Yep.
So we're talking about increasing our conversion here on our podcast and our live stream today. Again, this is one of many of our shows. You can go to luxurylistingpodcast.com for previous episodes, or go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com /@luxury specialist. You'll see that on the screen for those that are watching the live stream. That's where you'll see other episodes. And if you have a question, the best way to do that is shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. A couple things that I want to go over. 48 days and 21 hours is our next in-person designation event. It's going to be in Cabo. You can go to luxurydesignation.com, Luxury Designation, if you want to join me in Cabo. Or just go to luxurylistingspecialist.com. If you go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, you see up at the top where it's got upcoming events. You can see where else I'm speaking at the filming of this. I'm headed to Dubai. I'm speaking at the International Property Conference in Dubai. Really excited about that. 13.5-hour direct flight there, 15.5 coming back. And so we're going to be speaking in Dubai. But if you want more information on our course, you go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, luxurylistingspecialist.com. All right. So, Alyssa, really good information here. Any other questions, any follow-up thoughts to what we had talked about previously?
Nope. I think in the next coming week, we're going to do a pop by the house, try and give her a call, see if she wants lunch. If not, we'll just maybe bring her a basket of cookies or something like that, leave behind, and try to get face-to-face with her. And I'll let you know.
Yeah, keep me posted. And I would set up an internal search on your multiple listing service for similar type properties.
Oh, yeah, we have that going.
Perfect. And so if there's a reason to, before the drop by, just touch base with you, touching base with you, Kim, just letting you know A, B, and C, that might be a good value add too.
Certainly.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate your time. Good luck. And do me a favor, keep me posted on how it goes. And if you get the listing, we might have you back here to talk about it and give you some great exposure. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it, Michael. Thanks for the advice, and I'll definitely keep you posted.
Perfect. And I'm going to correct myself when you get the listing. Okay. So you need to correct yourself too. Those that are listening, not if, and, or I hope. No, I will and when. Those are important. The way you talk to yourself, affirmations, because guess what? You are listening. Thank you so much, Alyssa.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Again, if you guys are getting value from this show, please leave us a like, leave us a review, a 5-star review. We need more of those. And as always, if you have an email, shoot me. If you have a question, shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup. I hope this has been beneficial to you. DISC personality conversion. How much communication and follow-up is too much? How much is not enough? You don't want to come across as stalkerish, as desperate, as used car salesman, but you also don't want to follow up because if you don't follow up enough, they're going to think you're hungry enough. Now, the one thing that I would tell Alyssa is if that seller says, man, you're following up a lot or too much, you can turn that into a positive. You can say, you know, one of the things that we pride ourselves in is not letting things slip through the cracks. So many times we will sell our own listings, or we will convert a buyer that called on another property and maybe convert them to your home. And the reason that we're able to do that is great follow-up. So if something is perhaps construed as too much follow-up or desperate, turn it into a positive. But with that being said, my name is Michael LaFido. Make it a great day and keep raising the bar in real estate. And we got a couple comments here. I need to study it more. Info, please. So literally, you can Google DISC personality, DISC. You can Google free DISC personality. I believe Tony Robbins offers a free DISC assessment. And Ted, appreciate it. We got Ted Chino saying he's been facilitating DISC communication styles for a while. He's a part of our multiple listing service. So I appreciate that, Ted. Feel free to share that with me. And I appreciate everybody else. Until next time, you're listening to another Luxury Specialist podcast, another Luxury Fridays. Keep raising the bar and prove others wrong. Take care, everybody.